Avenue, Albany, and CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier online wagering site in New York State. CapitalOTBBet.com. Sign up today.
Good morning. Welcome to the Handicappers Report. Looking at the action on Saturday, January 29th. Seth, Merrow, Brian, Nadeau. Usually we split things up, but it's a big day today. A lot of action. Pegasus World Cup Day down at Gulfstream, and so we're both going to concentrate on the Gulfstream card, highlighted by the Pegasus World Cup. And tune in top of the hour, Racing Across America. We'll have some Todd Pletcher, some Brad Cox, the clash of the Titans, the trainers of Life is Good, and Nick Sco. Looking forward to that. Also, Ron Nicoletti from Gulfstream Park will chime in his thoughts. But in the meantime, Brian Nadeau down in Florida, and I will take a look, and I'm Seth Merrow, of course, take a look at the Pegasus World Cup card. And Brian, I've said it all week long. I've said it to the various guests we've taped earlier this week. I think everybody's been looking forward to this matchup since Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And now it's finally here. You know, we drew on Tuesday, and we've talked about it for 5-6 weeks now. And you know how racing is, Seth. It doesn't always come to fruition, but it's happened, and they're going to throw down going 9 furlongs, a mile and 1/8 on the main track at Gulfstream Park. Nick Sco won this race last year, just very eerily similar. It's interesting because Nick Sco came into the Pegasus last year off an awesome Breeders' Cup dirt mile romp, and now Life is Good has got to do it this year. And last year, Nick Sco was a little bit unproven at 9 furlongs, and now we know he can get 10 furlongs and he'll be horse of the year. And you know, Life is Good's got to answer that question too now. So it's just it's very very interesting set of circumstances, kind of mirroring last year and this year. And it's going to be fun because two horses with literally exactly the same running style. Does something give? Does something funky happen? Remains to be seen, but we've been waiting for this clash for weeks now, and it's finally come to the fore, and I just can't wait to see it happen.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I think we are amongst a community of racing fans that have been waiting for this showdown. And great way to kind of kick off the year. We're still in January, so to start things off early like this is just a really big day. We will jump into it. We were talking before we went on the air. It was announced this week that the Rainbow will have a mandatory payoff coming on Sunday, so folks should keep that in mind for the weekend. Sunday, a mandatory in the Rainbow. Also want to take this opportunity. We're talking Gulfstream today, so perfect. I want to thank our friends at Gulfstream for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here on Capital OTB during the championship meet. We appreciate their support, and the championship meet gets its name because of days like this. And so, ready to jump in?
Yeah, let's do it. It's an exciting 12-race card. The card is phenomenal. We're going to talk about it. There's depth, there's competition, deep races, good maiden races, 7 stakes, graded stakes, 4 of them on the turf. I can't wait. Let's do it.
All right, I'll let you take it away in the opener, and I'll jump in a little bit. Starter handicap. We'll kick things off 11:30 post time on Saturday morning into Saturday afternoon. The opener is on the synthetic at 1 1/8 miles.
And I'll give the one-sheet selections. We'll keep it like we normally do, and I'll have that updated on Twitter and online, all that good stuff. 5-1, 4-7, 11. It's a tough race, Seth, and we're gonna talk about that a lot today. It's going to be a theme. I went with Diligent off the Gilberto Zerpa claim. He hasn't really been as active the championship meet as he is during the summer. I think that's kind of not surprising. And the barn does such a good job, 23% off the claim. This one comes in off a win and is now in a race where it can't be claimed again. I like that. 2 for 4 over the local Tapeta as well. So I think Diligent from close range is a major player in here. Light Fury down inside for Ronnie Spatz, who's had a very, very good championship meet, and this is another one that hasn't missed the board in 3 starts on the Tapeta. Yamato certainly in the mix off the win last time. Luis Saez is here, had a couple wins on the Tapeta on Thursday, and obviously he's going to gallop as leading rider down here this winter. And Marissa's Mission in the mix, outside Town Classic in the mix as well. Seth, you could throw a blanket on this. I'm going to give out the Who Do You Like Here Pete Aiello special probably in mid-stretch.
1, 10, 11, and 7 for me. I put Light Fury on top. I just thought the last race maybe signaled some good form. It was a starter allowance at the 16 level. This is a starter handicap. I think he's going to fit nicely in this field. 7 exacta finishes in 12 starts last year. And the last start that I spoke about signaled some good form with a close-up second place finish. So we'll put the number 1 on top. Surf and Turf in the second spot. Moved over to the synthetic last time from a turf start. Made a decent little third with a pretty good number. Town Classic has a synthetic start back in August at Presque Isle. It wasn't anything to write home about, but it was a little bit of a stakes race. Claimed and goes into a barn that's good off the claim, gets back to the synthetic. That's much of what the question mark will be with Town Classic. With Gaffleone on board, 4-1, and the price is right there if the morning line holds. For me in the second, 1, 10, 11, and 7.
In that 11:30 opener, kicked off an early pick 5. We kick off an early pick 4 here in race 2. It's one of 2 really good maiden special weights for 3-year-olds on the card. This is a mile and a 16. Don't forget the short finish line here as well.
1, 2, 4, and 10. I thought the 9 was also playable. The Bilmont Run Happy second-time starter, but I have a second-time starter on top. Todd Pletcher, Napoleon Company with Beyond Best. Ran 5th in debut, but showed a little punch. Adds Lasix and blinkers today. It's Todd Pletcher at Gulfstream. I think we might get a little bit of value here off the first start. Luis Saez on board, so I'll use that one. And at 15-1, Mad Mocha, I thought was a little bit interesting. Cheesewood and Stuart Simon. We've talked to that connection up at Woodbine when we made visits up there. And we were talking to the Chiefswood people when we were up at Woodbine a couple of years ago, and they said, you know what, I'd like to get some more dirt starters in the mix. And maybe this will work out to be one for them. Has been on the synthetic so far up at Woodbine. But, boy, that Palmetto's workout looks like maybe it's signaling that 15-1 could be kind of generous. So we'll take a look at that one. And then make way for Kenny McPeak, the 3-year-olds from Kenny McPeak. Ever since Saratoga, once he got to Churchill in the fall, things turned around after that quirky Saratoga meet, and his 3-year-olds have been running very well. Now, this wasn't necessarily one of those, but it was a career debut on the synthetic at Turfway that he elected to bring this horse down to Gulfstream, start on a day like this. I think another one at a morning line price that's worth taking a look at. So 1, 2, 4, and 10 for me.
I got the same one, 1, 9, 10 for me. 1, 9 over the 10 for the 1 sheet. Down inside, you mentioned it, Beyond Best. Again, the short finish line. Todd won one of those races last week, and you've got to be close because what happens is you get off the far turn and you just don't have a lot of distance to the wire. Beyond Best on top. Happy Boy Rocket, I think, might be up against it a little bit because of that. Now, Bilmont adds blinkers off a solid debut. Distant third behind a nice one, but I would expect improvement today. I just worry about the post and about the short finish line. Next door, number 10, Complete Agenda. We'll call this one the other Pletcher, or maybe the favored part of the Pletcher. I don't know. IRAD is here. Second time blinkers. Lasix goes on as well. Improving Son of Curl. And I think this is a race set to remember some of the names coming out of. I'll go 1, 9, 10.
Yeah, and the 1 and the 10, not only both Pletcher, but they're the same ownership as well. These days, you don't get them coupled up, but it'll be interesting to see what the odds go off at and who winds up being the better of the 2 in this event, which I agree is one of those that's worth watching going forward. Third race at Gulfstream on Saturday. Optional claim or non-winners at 1, mile and a 16 on the turf.
11, 8, 7, 10, 3. I'm using all the spots I can on the 1 sheet. Gladys is the full to Rachel Alexandra, and I just wonder if she's starting to figure this game out a little bit. I thought it was a really, really good run last time. When she was 5th, she got fried chasing a wild pace, and I think she held on pretty nicely. Now, obviously, Rachel Alexander made her, Hall of Fame plaque on the dirt, but Gladys has run well on the turf. She's still got upside with just 7 lifetime starts, and that last one was really, really good. I'm coming right back to her today. Star Seeking is a little bit of the wild card for Pletcher and those famed Michael Tabor silks, which I love so much. I think of Thunder Gulch back in 1995 when I got into racing. And this is a Euro import, hasn't run since Ascot in September. So what are we going to get today? Lasix goes on. I think that's a big help. I just wonder if maybe she'll need one. I also worry about this turf course at Gulfstream Park being a little sharp for her, going a mile and 16, so I put her underneath. Lucy's Cakes Fly. There's a name for you for Mike Maker, who's starting to win races here. This one's 2 for 5. Stubbed her toe a little bit last time on the Tapeta, but if you draw a line through that race, focus on the turf races. They're very, very strong. 11-8-7. I'll mention the 10 Final Bells, a nice debut winner for Bill Mott at a big price. Bill doesn't usually win on debut. You should always take that into account when they do.
Yeah, Michael Dove, very clever. Was Thursday? What was it? Hot peppers, something peppers.
Yeah.
It was a private purchase. It looked like, I think, for Michael Dove. It came down and looked pretty good, as I say, on Thursday. I have some horses, same horses in the mix. 11, 10, 9, and 8. I thought the 1 was playable on the inside from Jimmy Toner. If that one attracts your attention, I wouldn't talk you out of that. But I also put Gladys on top. I just think if you look at the last 3 numbers, buyers moving in the right direction. This horse maybe a little edge on this bunch. So on those numbers and improving numbers, I'll put that one on top. Final Bell in the second spot for Bill Mott. Good debut win, but it was last March. How's the horse going to come off the layoff? But certainly the potential is there to come up, being that lightly raced, to come off the layup, maybe even a little improved, and that would make the horse very dangerous. Champagne Lady goes out for Shug off a nice win on the first start back from a layoff for that one that seemed to indicate this horse came back a little bit improved. And then down in the 4th spot, I put Star Seeking. I wasn't quite sure what to do with Euro Import. I wouldn't leave the horse out of the mix by any means, but I was like you, will this horse need a start? How's this mile and 16th at Gulfstream going to play? So again, I wouldn't leave the horse out, but went down to the bottom of my mix in the 3rd at Gulfstream. 11, 10, 9, and 8.
Race 4 is that second of the maiden special weights. This is at 7 furlongs for 3-year-olds. Some really nice looking firsters in here. Check the board. And it's another race that looks loaded to me, Seth.
Top of the page, I have written this is a competitive race, and I went 10, 9, 11, and 12. I put Swing Shift on top. Again, it's Todd Pletcher at Gulfstream, early season 3-year-old making a debut. They paid a lot of money at Ocala, April. The dam produced a sibling called Queen Street, second in debut, but then second in the second start, won the 3rd start. So I thought there was a little win early there. Irod Ortiz on board. So all the human connections, a little bit of breeding, big price at the 2-year-old sale. So I put Swing Shift on top. Surpassing goes out for Safi Joseph off. Decent looking debut. Second over at Tampa, but it looked like one of those that promising and could provide a foundation to move forward from. And then Positive Review in the 3rd spot. Couple of starts so far, couple of okay starts also for Safi Joseph. Now off those 2 6 furlong stretches, another furlong. I kind of like that look. Congressman is a firster from Todd Pletcher by constitution. I could make the argument there as well. I put, Swing Shift on top, but I could have easily moved Congressman up with the breeding and the connections. But in the 4th at Gulfstream, for me, 10, 9, 11, and 12.
I go 5, 6, 10, 12, 11. I put the Chad Firster on top, Macalop. Jose Ortiz is here, $300,000 son of Into Mischief. There's not really much pedigree here. 3rd full out of the dam. The other 2 really weren't much, but the works really do whisper ready. And that bullet at Payson last time, really says we're ready to roll today on January 20th. It's a call and like in a scramble races where I just thought some of these other firsters, Umbra for Shug is by Blame. He might want more ground. Swing Shift, they paid $500,000, $550 for a son of Midnight Storm, who stands for 7,500 as a 2-year-old in training. And now we're not debuting till January of our 3-year-old year. That's a little worrisome for me. Congressman is way outside in the 12 hole. He's maroon. So I just thought maybe Macalop's in a good spot here in a really, really tough race. Like I said, check the money out here. Bourbon Heist I've got in second, who's the experienced horse. If he's been routing in his last 2. One of them was in the Iroquois, the grade 3 at Churchill. You cycle back to his last sprint. It was a really good effort at Saratoga. Major General, there you see, who beat him, comes right back and wins the Iroquois. Boy, this is a tough race, like you said, Seth. And I think that it's a race where some of these horses will be going places. 5, 6, 10, 12, 11 for me.
Yeah, and for people who watch enough know that I love the Chad Brown first-time starters. If he's teamed up with Klarovich as an owner, but just overall he does very well. But you said it. I looked up the siblings. There's 2 other siblings. They're 1 for 34. Yeah. And so I couldn't pull the trigger, but it's Chad Brown with the firster. So I'm glad you brought it up. It's worth pointing out. If somebody jumps on, I wouldn't talk them off of it, but it's that kind of a race. So we'll see how it works out. We kick off stakes action in race number 5 on Saturday afternoon, the La Proveniente. It's 1.5 miles on the grass. Grade 3 event, $150,000 up for grabs. How'd you see the 5th race?
Another pick 4 here too as well. And it's going to be tough to beat Always Shopping. I mean, she got back on the beam last time. She won this race last year. And Seth, there's no other speed in here whatsoever. I mean, she is as loose as Tyler Gaffalione wants to be. I actually talked to him on Thursday, and he said, I was hoping there was some other speed in the race. There's absolutely not. She's controlling. She likes this trip. She's 4 for 6 over the Gulfstream turf. I couldn't beat her. I put a little price in for second, Sister O'Toole. I just think it's interesting that Graham Motion runs her back on 7 days rest. That's not a Graham type of move, you know, such a patient trainer. But obviously, she didn't get a lot out of the Tapeta race and didn't like the Tapeta last week. So I'm looking for a much, much better run today. And then Beautiful Lover for Christophe Clement. Joel Rosario in town to ride Nick's Go. He's on several other live horses. I think she's a player too. But I just think off her last race and off the flow of this race, Always Shopping is going to be one of the tougher horses to beat on the entire card.
I have it 4, 9, 6, and 1. I agree. Always Shopping looks very good off of that win. Honor Hop to me hasn't been seen since Keeneland in October, but certainly was in good form towards the end of the last season for that one. And Beautiful Lover, 3rd behind Always Shopping last time with a decent effort. And as you say, Joe Rosario in town. Sorrel on the inside for Christophe Clement, I thought could be perhaps an interesting player as well with Irod Ortiz on board. But for me, in the 5th, 4, 9, 6, and 1.
So we'll go one more before the break here. And this is a $70,000 starter. It's a handicap, on the Tapeta, about 1.70 miles. 4-year-olds and up. The rail has been very, very dead on the Tapeta. Now, I think it cycled back around a little bit, especially on Thursday. It looked okay. There was a 30-1 that wired. But prior to that, it was just quicksand down there. So, you know, food for thought. Just check out the races in the chart and make the, see for yourself. But I'm still a little leery about being downside.
You mentioned it at the top of the handicapping here. It was a day where there was a couple of races ago. I said top of my page, I had competitive. Top of this page, I have written wide open. I have it 7, 4, 1, and 8. I put Telephone Talker on top for Safi Joseph. 4-1 looks pretty good off of that last race. It was a nice win with a nice buyer that competes very nicely with this group. Again, a pretty wide open group. But I just thought off of that last race, Tyler Gaffalione jumping on board. I'll tilt towards Telephone Talker. Second slot, I'll take a look at Frosted Over. Comes down from Woodbine for Mark Cassie. Has the form on the synthetic at Woodbine. Had a very nice season last year. 3 wins and a second in 5 starts, including a win 2 back in a stakes race and a close-up second last time in a stakes race. So I just think Frosted Over, also a solid player in here. And Mischief Afoot, Jose Ortiz on board for Jimmy Toner. This horse is maybe a little bit interesting moving over to the synthetic. There's one dirt start. It's not on the page, but it was an off-the-board finish. Jimmy Toner, clever veteran, we'll say, comes in with a bullet workout. They take a little shot on the synthetic. Maybe we'll get a little value there. In the 6th, 7, 4, 1, and 8.
Well, I went 4, 7, 3. And the reason I put Frosted Over on top for Cassie and Gary Barber, I just think he's a lot more tactical, or at least he was, than what Telephone Talker did last time. Now, they went ballistic early last time in the Telephone Talker race. I mean, they can't go any faster. 45-1 is just absurd. So maybe that's why he was so far back. But I do think Frosted Over will get first run, and that's for the reason I put him on top. You mentioned it's Telephone Talker ran out of his skin last time. The 97 buyer is just, you kind of wonder where it came from, or does he regress today? But if he runs back to it, he's going to win this race. Frosted Over hasn't run a race that beats that yet. So I think they're the two. I had it maybe a little more condensed than you did. I put Fancy Liquor down inside in 3rd, coming out of some solid, decent turf races for Mike Maker. It's a question on the all-weather, but he did run 3rd on it earlier in his career. So, you've got that going for him at least. But I think Frosted Over and Telephone Talker are the two in here. 4, 7, 3 for me.
And you mentioned the freakishly good performance by Telephone Talker, and it may be that he's just a synthetic horse.
Well, yeah, there's something to be said for that.
That's possible. Folks shouldn't forget, we're still kind of new at this, but when you see the off the turf mark down at Gulfstream, they went over to the synthetic. So that was his lone synthetic start, and he kind of freaked. So that could be a factor too. Nice little bullet workout coming into it. So there are things to like. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we will complete our look at the big day at Gulfstream. Stay tuned.
Having trouble finding us? It's actually quite simple. Whether online or on your TV, it's never been easier to watch and wager on championship horse racing with Capital OTB. Simply log on to capitalotbbet.com. There you can watch our morning shows, live stream races, and wager on our state-of-the-art wagering platform. You can also watch from the comfort of your home on Spectrum Cable Channel 1250 or Fios Channel 467, and win more with Capital OTB.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report. Seth, Merrow, and Brian Nadeau. We are taking a look at the big Saturday afternoon card at Gulfstream Park. We've gone through the first six. We'll now land on race number 7 to kick things off in this segment. The 7th, more stakes action, the McKnight Grade 3 event, a couple $100,000 up for grabs, a marathonish 1.5 miles on the grass.
And 6 down, 6 to go. So that means Rainbow 6 time as well. And the pool's been climbing. And don't forget, Sunday, we're going to pay this thing out and we'll see how big it gets. But so it's kind of a doubly exciting weekend down at Gulfstream Park. This race is impossible. 8, 6, 10, 12, 9. For me, I went Baker's Bay. It's a stab. It's a price. It's a lightly raced son of More Than Ready for Shug, who's tactical and seems to have upside. And, you know, there's a lot of horses in this race that we know what they're going to do or what they can do and what they can't do. I'm not sure we know that with Baker's Bay just yet. I mean, he's been running these low 90 buyers, and he might have a move forward because everybody else is in the mix with those kind of figures as well. And I like the fact that he's tactical too, and Junior Alvarado's been riding this turf course very, very well. So, you know, the Dartland's there. Bama Breeze underneath for Rusty Arnold, who's quietly had a very nice championship meet. This one will be running on late. You see the Grade 3 Sycamore. I thought it was a pretty good fourth in that race. I mean, 2 Emmys won the Arlington Million, or the Mr. D, the Grade 1 this summer. So that was a very classy race. Aban got loose and didn't stop in the Jerkins in a race basically he couldn't lose with the way it shook out. I don't know if I see that same trip here, and he's cutting back from 2 miles to 1.5 miles. I was willing to fade him just a little bit, and it's another reason why I went Baker's Bay. He'll be 2 is outside, won't be that far off of it. 8, 6, 10, 12 for me, Seth.
I went with Aban, but I don't disagree with you at all. You know, it's a shaky pick. 10, 9, 8, 10, 9, 1, and 8 for me. But I just thought, you know, and it's counterintuitive. The longer you go, though, the more dangerous speed is. And I just thought he might get out there and just float on the lead again at this 1.5 miles. And so I'm kind of looking at that to be the case. Now, you don't want to get to the top of the stretch and have a cavalry charge come up to him, because you want him floating around and having a little daylight all the way around. But I'll put that one on top. Glenn County in the second spot for me. The race at Kentucky Downs 2-back was pretty good. The Sycamore last time at Keeneland, not so encouraging. but that looks like a little bit of an aberration to me. Now, Mike Maker has given him a little time. Tyler Gaffleone back on board today. I'll use that one. Temple in the third spot for me, another Mike Maker runner. Umberto Rispoli, who is in town, will jump on board. It's going to be interesting to see if folks don't watch California racing. He's a guy who's kind of made a little noise out on the West Coast. Be interesting to see what he does on a big day down at Gulfstream. But I think this horse is a player. And then I put your Baker's Bay down in the fourth spot, and I agree. That's a horse that could step up and make a little noise in here. But for me, 10, 9, 1, and 8.
Race 8, late pick 5 time. They've guaranteed 750 in that pick 5. Gun to my head, I say might get 2 million. It'll be a huge pool. They'll blow by that, but the guarantee is 750. It's the grade 2 inside information. These are for the gals, 4 and up. We go 7 on the main track.
3, 7, 8, and 2. Should mention Pacific Gale in here and upset this race last year at 16-1. I think if she wins this year, probably going to be another little bit of an upset. And I think at this point last year, if I'm not mistaken, they talked to John Kimmel in the winner's circle after the race, and he said, the owners were talking about retiring the horse, and well, let's take one more shot. They won the race and then continued on, and now here they are to give it another shot on Saturday afternoon. I mentioned that I didn't use that horse, but just again, worth taking maybe an extra look at if there's a price there. But I went 3, 7, 8, and 2. I put Dance de Oro on top. I thought the last race was very good. The Rampart win has plenty of speed, will fire with that speed. That Rampart win was at a mile, now gets to cut back with the speed to 7 furlongs. So I'll put Dance de Oro on top. Jakarta in the second spot, Mike Trombetta and Irad Ortiz, a horse also coming off of a nice stakes win. The Mrs. Kloss on December 28th at Parks. So I think this horse is maybe a little bit of a player off of that race. I will note a little bit of an aberration for that race, given the numbers this horse typically throws. But it was a move to the dirt from a series of races on synthetic and turf. So I found that a little bit intriguing. And then in the third spot, just one more time, Brad Cox trainee that had been racing, not new in the Brad Cox farm, had been racing Penn National, Presque Isle, but had been running very nicely with 4 daylight wins in 5 career starts. So I just thought the scenario was kind of interesting. Talented horse moves into the Cox barn, Joe Rosario on board, and they elect to start in a salty stake like this down at Gulfstream. 3, 7, 8, and 2 for me.
Yeah, Brad, I talked to Brad on Thursday. I said, there was a race at Oaklawn, but he said, why not take a shot in the graded stakes race on a horse that he likes and is doing good? So I agree. 2, 8, 5, 6, 3 for me. It's a tough race. I think AG Indy's interesting for Pletcher. First time in the barn. She's been doing the turf thing out in California for Doug O'Neill, but she's by Take Charge Indy out of a badge of silver mare. So dirt is certainly, in this pedigree. And I think she can trip out in here just off a race that looks loaded with speed, and she's got some too, but I don't think she'll be on, right pressing on the lead. Luis Saez is here. And, Seth, I think it might be a race where the fresh new face is not a bad angle, and that's certainly AG Indy. It's also certainly just one time, and I think she did well to draw outside the other speed. I mean, this is a Pennsylvania bred, and 3 of those, easy wins you alluded to were in the state bred ranks. So she's got to answer the bell here. She did win an open allowance at Penn National in the slop. She's got big figures. How does she shake out on the open graded stake scene remains to be seen. 4 Graces should improve off a comeback she really needed. I expect her to. If she gets back to her best, you can make a case she's the one to beat. Pacific Gale, she's a cool old fighter, now 7 years old for John Kimmel. Inside, Dance de Oro, as you mentioned, she was so good that day, Seth, just basically stringing out the field going a mile. And Ralph Nix seems to have gotten her going good. I talked to him in the winner's circle after that race. He said, it's just been hard to get her starts under her belt. And now she's making the 4th one in a row. So she's a big player as well. Really, really good renewal. Really, really tough race to kick off the late pick 5 as well.
All right. Race number 9 kicks off a pick 4. Race number 9 also kicks off the Pegasus World Cup action. Race number 9, the Pegasus World Cup Filly and Mayor Turf Grade 3 event. $500,000 up for grabs. The trip on the grass, 8.5 furlongs.
It's just tough to get by Regal Glory. I think 4-3 over the 7. I mean, she's the class. She got a long overdue grade 1 win last time. She doesn't have to be on the lead. If nobody goes, she'll take it. There's plenty of speed in here. I get all that, but I mean, she's tactical too. And Jose Ortiz knows her very, very well. And I just think at the end of the day, she's just better than this group. And you know, if you need a single, if you're willing to Dutch Knicks go and life is good, maybe she's the single in the sequence. I think she's tough in here. I like Lady Spikespeare though, too. I think she has a world of talent. She had an awful trip last time, dueling unnecessarily on the lead, and now Junior Alvarado takes over, and I think there'll be a target for her this time. She was a grade 1 winner at 2, and now she's cycling back. She's lightly raced with a world of upside, and she's got that huge pedigree out of Lady Shakespeare, who was, you know, a half sister to Perfect Shirl and Shakespeare, Breeders' Cup winner, multiple grade 1 winners. This pedigree is huge for Chuck 50, so I like her in here as well, and I'm going to use her. And then Nicest, you know, don't sleep on Nicest for Michael McCarthy. That race 2 back, you know, Neige Blanche and Luck are 2 really good California turf fillies, and she was a good third. I think she's a player in here. I don't think she can win, but I think she can get a piece of this. We go 4-3 over the 7 in the first of the 3 Pegasus World Cup races.
I'm 4-1-9-3. I'm with you. Regal Glory off the past couple of races, and the numbers fired does look pretty solid in here. But I think on a best effort, Sweet Melania, best effort meaning getting back to what she raced last time in the Suwannee River. I think she's live in here. Luis Saez jumps on board for Todd Pletcher. And again, I think off the last race, she could be competitive with the top pick. Shifty She in the 3rd spot for me was right behind Sweet Melania last time. And on the best effort, I think this horse is also a pretty solid player in here. And then Lady Spikespeare, I'm with you. The first 4 starts of the career up at Woodbine, very good. And then just got in a pace last time that couldn't hold off late attacks, but still was a close-up 3rd. She'll be very interesting today. So for me, in the Pegasus World Cup filly and mare turf, I have it 4-1-9-3.
We'll take a break from the Pegasus World Cup action. We'll go with the grade 3 Fred Hooper here. These are 4 and up. We go a 1-turn mile.
I have it 1, 8, 6, and 9, and I left off the enigmatic Dennis's moment. I'm curious to know if you have Dennis's moment in. But I couldn't pull the trigger there. Dennis's moment, who started the career with such promise, and as I say, just has been maybe a little more enigmatic since. But I went 1, 8, 6, and 9. I put Fearless on top, Todd Pletcher and Mike Rapoli. This is a horse that signaled last year that this horse would be a player in the handicap division, given the spots and whatnot. The 101 buyer in the Oaklawn handicap behind Silver State was certainly notable and jumps off the page. And given the 93 buyer 2 back and the 99 last time, maybe we're ready to pop another triple-digit buyer. We'll find out, but I put Fearless on top. Speaker's Corner, again, another one of these horses that has flashed some real talent and has looked very special. 3 triple-digit buyer figures. But boy, the 2nd place finish last time was a little bit disappointing, I think. I'm not going to be surprised if the horse wins and puts in another just, crackerjack performance. I just couldn't quite pull the trigger. 3rd spot, Liam, Todd Pletcher trainee that won last time off a long layoff and a move into the Todd Pletcher barn. I think the horse will need some moves forward, but I don't think that's out of the question. Still fairly lightly raced as a 5-year-old, and this will only be the 2nd start off a layoff. So I think a move forward is possible. I have it 1, 8, 6, and 9.
I just reversed them, 8-1-4 for me. And I just, it's a post position race to me. And the fact that Speaker's Corner is outside Fearless, he'll get first run on Fearless too. You've got the speed of Liam, and I'm not sure how good he is, if he's going to class up with this group. And so I kind of think of this race, if Liam Chuck said, well, here's Speaker's Corner is going to take over and might be in a really good spot off the far turn. I put him on top. I think cutting back off a demanding 2-turn mile and 8th at Aqueduct's going to help him too. He's on top. Fearless is clearly the horse to beat in here. He's 4 for 5 at Gulfstream. He comes in off a grade 3 win in the Harlan's Holiday. He won at this 1-turn mile last year in the Gulfstream Park Mile. So he's going to be a major, major player. And officiating maybe can get a little piece. I thought he ran really, really good on the return to the dirt last time. It was kind of a fluky field that day. I get that. But, you know, I think he can make a little bit of a run in here too. But I just think it's 8-1, 1-8. I went 8-1 in the Fred Hooper.
Yeah, and as they say, top of the hour, I have Todd Pletcher, who I recorded a couple of days back, and I don't think he was really thrilled with the 1 for Fearless coming out of the chute in the 1-turn mile. The 11th race on Saturday afternoon, Pegasus World Cup Turf. Defending champion Colonel Liam is back to try for the winner's share of the $1 million Grade 1 purse. The trip, 9 furlongs.
So the 3 Pletchers were schooling in the paddock on Wednesday, and just go to Twitter, Acacia, Ron, they were filming it, and it's out there, Gulfstream Park or all that kind of stuff. And Colonel Liam looks like a tank. I mean, I'm not a horse flesh guy, I admit that wholeheartedly, but he looked awesome. I mean, don't get me wrong, Never Surprised it too, and Life is Good looked great too. Colonel Liam looks like an absolute tank. Now, he hasn't been out since June. 6 over the 1.5, by the way. Sorry. But he just looks like a bigger, stronger 5-year-old than the one we saw win this race last year. And he was on his way to being the best turf horse in the country until he really stubbed his toe in the Manhattan. And obviously something went wrong that day. We haven't seen him since. But boy, if you see, take a look at the video of him, or the workouts are out there too. He just looks like a monster, and I think his best is better than this field. I also think the post of Never Surprised hurts, and I think there's speed in here, and I think Colonel Liam gets all the best of it here, so I put him on top. You know, Space Traveler, you used the word enigmatic, I believe, in a couple races back. That's Space Traveler, Seth, and, you know, you see the 3 Grade 1s that he ran pretty well in, but couldn't get get his picture taken. He really had no chance from the post last time. It's just a bad post. I thought he ran pretty well, though. Doswell, who's in here, got loose and didn't stop. Well, I don't think anybody's getting loose in here today. And if they are, they're going to run really fast. Jamie Spencer comes over from Europe to ride. That's pretty cool. Blinkers go on from Brendan Walsh for a little more focus. And, you know, Brendan's just a consummate horseman. So when a guy like that makes an equipment move, I pay attention. And he's got a few good races in him that stack up with this field. So I like this post. It's so much better than last time. I put him in second. Hit the road. Can he get the trip? That's the question mark. It's a 1 mile and 1/8. It's not a 1 mile and 3/16 like it was last year. And this is a fast, firm, snappy Gulfstream Park turf course that can carry horses maybe a little farther than they really want to run. And I think that might help Hit the Road too. Get this trip. The problem is he hasn't been out since October. He missed the Breeders' Cup Mile, so he's kind of up against it in that way. But he's got a lot of talent, and he's a very, very good horse. He had a nightmare trip in the City of Hope last time. So I think he's a player too. But I was sold on Colonel Liam, and I'm expecting a huge run out of him. 6 over to 1.5. So.
I went 8, 6, 5, 9. I put Sacred Life on top. It's Chad Brown, Michael Dubb and company, coming out of a couple of decent tries in the fall. I maybe has to step it up compared to those races, but just a little bit. And there are back races that says he can do it. I'm going to take a little pop there. Colonel Liam's the one to beat, but it is coming in off a long layup. That's the question mark. I wanted to use Never Surprised somewhere in the mix. Yeah, I love those 3-year-old turfers and the turf stakes that go all year long. And it just seems like Never Surprised got better at the end of his 3-year-old season. It might be primed now that the calendar has turned and he's now a 4-year-old, but he's up against it in that 12 hole. So I couldn't quite pull the trigger there. In the third spot for me, I used Hit the Road, who comes in from Southern California off a couple of nice tries. So I think he's going to be live too. For me in the Pegasus World Cup Turf, 8, 6, 5, and 9.
And then there was one in the 12th Here's the big one, $3 million on the line. It's the Pegasus World Cup Invitational, 1.125 miles. It's Nick's Go, Horse of the Year, Breeders' Cup Classic winner against Life is Good, Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile winner. Seth, how'd you separate them?
I went 1, 4, 6, and 2, and I went with Nick's Go just because he's proven it to trip already. As you say, he came into this race last year, and the question mark was, how is he at the 9 furlongs? And subsequently, he wins this at this time last year, goes on to win 1.125 miles in the Cornhusker, which at that point in the career, I was saying, I think they went out there for a little bit of a confidence booster. Mission accomplished. And then he wins 1.125 miles in the Whitney and the Lucas Classic, and then easily gets the 1.25 miles in the Breeders' Cup Classic. So he's proven it to trip. I just tilted in that direction slightly, in that Life is Good is still maybe a question mark at this trip. But it's going to be really intriguing to see what the strategy, and they both have the need for the lead, and how's it going to work out. But I tilted slightly towards Nick's Go. Life is Good in the second spot. And then underneath, I have Sir Winston and Chess Chief. I would just look at, if things do fall apart, who might pick up the pieces. I thought those were two interesting horses that maybe had the ability to kind of sit back and pounce if things do fall apart. It's hard to think that both of those horses, though, will go by the wayside, but that's what makes it intriguing. You don't see this too often, two absolute superstars with this, I have to have the lead style, and we're going to be treated to something. I think when I interviewed Todd, again, coming up at the top of the hour, as that interview ended, I said, as racing fans, we're all expecting the racing equivalent of the Buffalo Bills versus the Kansas City Chiefs. So we'll see how it works out on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Something has to give. It's 1, 2, 4 for me. Something's got to give. Nick's Go is going to be in front. I don't have any doubt about that. And I think, Life is Good did benefit from this draw. I don't think there's any doubt about that. He can be outside. I know, you see the fractions in his races, and I get that 44 flat at Saratoga and 44 and change in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. Listen, I get all of it, but those are shorter races, and it's easier to go, hellacious early. I just think Nick's Go with that, just a tremendous amount of cruising speed and a high rate, and the way he can carry it. I just think he's going to bury Life is Good at some point, or that's how I'm going to play it. And then obviously Life is Good is going to try to win the race. And sometimes when you try to win the race, it ends up costing you in the stretch. And you said it perfectly. Life is Good is a complete unknown going this far. And now he's going to have to chase a horse that might, be in the Hall of Fame one day at his game. And the rail's been very, very good on the main track too. So I like Nick's Go. And if Life is Good does come off the bridle, Dally has done a hell of a job running second in a lot of big races. And he's going to bring in Chess Chief, who's pretty good last time at Fairgrounds. And he's nowhere remote. He's not even the same zip code as Nick's Go and Life is Good on paper. But you know what? Someone sometimes picks up a lot of pieces like, Commanding Curve and Golden Soul and things like that. And Dally's done that before in these races. And maybe Chess Chief is the one that benefits if Life is Good comes off of it. So let's go 1, 2, 4, Stiletto Boy in fourth in the $3 million Pegasus World Cup to end a phenomenal day of racing at Gulfstream Park. And, you'd like to hope, Seth, it didn't work out with Arrogate and California Chrome. Let's hope that at 5:40 in the PM on Saturday, we look back and say, man, that was a hell of a horse race. And there's a good chance we do.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And again, sometimes they don't hold up, not just horse racing, any sporting event that has this much anticipation. Open coming down the stretch. Pete Aiello has to call it. Here's what we've been waiting for. Yeah. And really looking forward to it. So I'm wishing you and everybody down at Gulfstream a great day. Certainly we will be tuned in during the afternoon. So wish all your colleagues a great afternoon as well. And Brian, appreciate it. We'll talk again next week.
Sounds good, Seth. Same to you and everybody back home.
All right, let's wrap it up for this portion. I'll be back live right after this. Stay tuned.
Rogers pass. Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes.
In front, but here comes High Chaparral. High Chaparral, the defending champ, to take it to Bob. These two arch rivals head to head with Joe Hart bearing down on them. It's going to be a 3-horse photo finish to the turn. Here's the wire. Photo finish.
The Clubhouse Racebook is the Capital Region's new home for racing and sports. 25,000 square feet of Vegas-style action with live wagering on the best horse racing from around the world. 260 flat-screen televisions and state-of-the-art wagering terminals. So don't miss out. The fun is only minutes away at 711 Central Avenue, Albany, just off exit 5 of I-90. And don't forget, if you can't make it to the Clubhouse, you can always wager online 24/7 at capitalotv.com.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Oops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report, live in the studio now. Seth Merrow. We recorded the Handicappers Report, obviously with a big day at Gulfstream. Brian Nadeau had running around this morning, so we pre-recorded the Handicappers Report portion, concentrating on Gulfstream, which works out well. A big day. It was worth both of us taking a look at it, but normally I would have been doing Aqueduct. Aqueduct canceled today. Well, actually canceled yesterday, in anticipation. And I just pulled up some snow totals on Long Island, and it looks like, sure enough, they're getting hit. Certainly more than up here. I will say I came down the Northway this morning. If you're going out, drive safely. We had, we're not getting anything close to what they're going to get up the coast. But there was enough on the road that you want to take your time today. If you have to go out, just plan a little extra time. And I think it's one of those that, by the time you get into mid-morning, I think the roads will be cleaned up and whatnot. But again, if you are headed out, just take your time. If you are headed out to our branches today, do note that with the early post time at Gulfstream, 11:30 post on Pegasus World Cup Day, 11 o'clock opening for our branches this morning. So make your plans accordingly. If you'd like to come to the Clubhouse Racebook today, we would love to have you. 711 Central Avenue in Albany, and there will be a bankroll today. So I'll be playing on behalf of the bankroll team right here at the Racebook this afternoon. Come on down, put your name in the hat. Perhaps you get selected to the team. I will be playing during the afternoon. We will certainly concentrate some of that on Gulfstream and the big day down there, but the game plan, as always with the bankroll, take the original 300 and balloon it up so everybody gets a nice chunk of money. But again, come on down, put your name in the hat, and see if you can get on the bankroll team this afternoon at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. If you choose to stay home, however, there is a knockout challenge online, so you can play that as well, have a little fun if you're going to be at home on this Saturday afternoon. All right, again, we took a look at Gulfstream earlier, Brian Nadeau and I. Aqueduct canceled. But there's also some nice racing down at Oaklawn this afternoon, and certainly you'll be able to watch that here on the network. And just to alert you, coming up a little bit later today at Oaklawn, a couple of stakes worth watching. Obviously, the Southwest is one of the steps on the 3-year-old trail down at Oaklawn in Arkansas. Southwest Grade 3 event. $750,000 up for grabs, and the 3-year-olds will go a mile and a 16th. Dash Attack is on top for me. I went, if you have your PPs, I have the Southwest today, 210, 6, and 8. Those selections are also on the one sheet today, kind of in anticipation of perhaps, having handicapped 3 days out, but looking at the weather. Normally I'll have a couple of tracks on the one sheet. Today I did 3 tracks, Aqueduct, Oaklawn, and Gulfstream, again, in anticipation, and also pull Gulfstream in. Normally Brian has Gulfstream, but I took a little look at Gulfstream as well, again, in anticipation. A, the weather, B, the big day. But again, the Oaklawn picks are on the one sheet on the website. But I put Dash Attack on top. A few weeks ago, New Year's Day, there were some 3-year-old races across the country, and I said at the time, to me, the winner that was the most interesting was Dash Attack. Ken McPeak horse, and Ken McPeak has a number of nice 3-year-olds this year. I want to say 3 or 4 were on the Derby Future Pool last weekend. Smile Happy is maybe the top of those. But Dash Attack, 2 starts, 2 wins, including that stake New Year's Day right here at Oaklawn in the Smarty Jones. And as I said then, and I will repeat now, again, I thought that was, of the 3-year-old races that day, that's the one that to me was the most intriguing, the winner that was the most intriguing. Subsequently, there was an article in the Racing Forum the last couple of days talking about this race and quoted Ken McPeak as saying, you know what, his 3rd race might be his best race. And so a couple of starts under the belt, now comes to the 3rd start of the career. Ken McPeak looking at it potentially for a career best performance, a career best performance in a short career with the 3rd start. So Dash Attack, interesting to me. New Grange comes to Oaklawn for Bob Baffert. Baffert, obviously, over the past however many years, 5-10 years, 5, has made the trip to Oaklawn pretty successfully with this 3-year-olds along the 3-year-old trail. So New Grange coming in, like Dash Attack, 2 for 2 so far, including a stakes race, the Sham, which was one of those New Year's Day stakes. Buyer-wise, New Grange has the edge on Dash Attack, but Dash Attack has the edge having a race over the track. New Grange also a little bit interesting this afternoon because Johnny Velasquez coming in to ride. Went out to Southern California and really has done spectacularly out there. I have said for years, it seems like it's been very tough for jockeys to come from the East Coast and go to the West Coast and make a dent there because it's kind of insular. It's a smaller community, it seems like. Here on the East Coast, jockeys and trainers and whatnot, you have, the New York tracks and Parks and the Maryland tracks and Charlestown. There's a number of tracks that trainers and jockeys can kind of bounce around with. Out there, Southern California is Southern California, kind of an island unto itself. And so it's been tough to break in, but John Velasquez has done very well this winter. Partly because, and I think the main reason he went out there, he has gotten this alliance now with Bob Baffert that's worked out well, and I think that has played into his success out there. But he moves to Oaklawn on Saturday to ride the Baffert New Grange, and off the 2 starts, 2 wins, that horse is right underneath for me, and I think, pretty comparable talent to Dash Attack. Osborne for Ron Maquette, 3 starts so far, a win and a couple seconds. The second last time was in the Springboard Mile at Remington in the middle of December, but looks like a developing 2-year-old who now a little time off, month and a half, comes back as a newly turned 3-year-old. Could be interesting in here with some experience under the belt and a little added maturity. Barber Road off a second to Dash Attack last time in the Smarty Jones, also playable. But for me, in the Oaklawn Park, the Southwest, I have a 2-10, 6, and 8. And we'll see if Dash Attack, or New Grange can, if one of those 2 wins, they automatically become a very serious player on the Derby Trail, no question about it. Osborne probably gets in that mix as well. And really any of them with a big performance, but the 2 that already have kind of a promising resume moving forward, Dash Attack and New Grange. Also on the card, Saturday afternoon at Oaklawn. I'm kind of looking forward to this one. 10th race this afternoon. It'll go off just before 6 o'clock our time. It's the King Cotton, $150,000 up for grabs for sprinters going 6. I have it 6, 1, 9, and 8. And this is why I'm looking forward to the race. Nashville is in here. If you remember, this horse debuted up at Saratoga 2020 and was spectacular. Subsequently goes down to Keeneland in a non-winners of 2 lifetime allowance event, wins that and does it with a triple-digit buyer in career start number 2. then goes into a stakes race at Keeneland, wins that with a triple-digit buyer in career start number 3. Then tried the Malibu, finished 4th behind Charlatan. Off from December of 2020 in that Malibu try until December of this year, and ran 2nd in the comeback at 1-5. I'm really interested to see. This is a super fast, talented sprinter, lightly raced as a 5-year-old. But according to a preview of this race in the Daily Racing Form, Steve Asmussen said he was happy with the performance last time and thinks it's going to set the horse up nicely for the race this afternoon. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Nashville can do. But Hollis is going to prove to be live competition. Hollis, Oaklawn, December 10th, wins a 5.5 furlong optional claimer. Same race that Nashville made the comeback in. Nashville runs 2nd, 4.5 lengths ahead of them is Hollis with a 109 buyer. So it's going to be fun to see the rematch of these two. Seven Nation, Bold are underneath for me, but I'm very intrigued to see what Nashville does in the King Cotton this afternoon. I'll also alert you the 8th race at Tampa today. Maybe just worth taking a look at for the money that was paid for the horses that are showing up. 8th race at Tampa today. It's a maiden special weight scheduled on the turf at 8.5 furlongs. Godolphin has 2 in here. And between the two, Godolphin paid $7 million. Brother in Arms, 2 starts so far. They were at the end of 2020, the beginning of last year, so hasn't been seen in over a year. A 3rd place finish, a 2nd place finish that were, not spectacular. They paid $2.9 million for that one. They also have Aussie Pride. They paid $4.1 million for Aussie Pride. This will be the career debut for that one. So $7 million worth of horse flesh in the main special weight race at Tampa this afternoon with a purse of $28,000. So I'm sure that wasn't quite the game plan for those horses. But that's the 8th at Tampa today. It'll go off at about 3:45, so you can see what those 2 horses do. All right, I'm going to wrap it up for the Handicappers Report. But as I mentioned earlier, we taped a couple of great interviews over the past few days with 2 of the main players this afternoon down at Gulfstream. Todd Pletcher, trainer of Life is Good. We will have him on board. And Brad Cox, trainer of Knicks Go. We'll talk to him as well. As I said, we put those in the can already. They're coming up on Racing Across America in just a few minutes live. Ron Nicoletti will join us from Gulfstream Park to give some of his opinions for this afternoon. So we're going to take a long look at some of the great stakes action coming up this afternoon down at Gulfstream, but it should be a really fun afternoon. As I say, not just Gulfstream, but there are interesting races at the other venues as well. But it will be kind of Gulfstream-centric for the next hour. Racing Across America, top of the hour. As always, want to thank our friends at Gulfstream for their sponsorship of this, some of the other programming and events here on Capital OTB during the championship meet. Again, thanks to our friends down at Gulfstream. And a day like today, lives up to the championship meet moniker. We'll wrap it up for the Handicappers Report. We'll be back in a few with Racing Across America for a big Saturday. Stay tuned.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.